what's out there and see how people are using the web already and see how much of a small part they currently are of that bigger picture. That really helps to open your eyes to see that you may be a big museum, but on the web, which is global and is full of these really big resources, you're not the only story to tell. So I think that a slight humbling experience can be really useful. But I mean, also it's a question of trial and error and making baby steps. No organisation within a culture that's built over many years is going to suddenly overnight become all Web 2 and be Twittering and Facebooking and so forth. It takes time, and it takes the ability to, all right, let's have a go at it. And usually, I think people, when they see results, they start to say, "Wow, this is amazing." Okay. But it takes time.
Yeah, it takes time. Time is on our hands, guys, because our institutions already exist for 150 or 200 years. There might possibly be some questions in the audience. Don't be shy. We're just amongst ourselves. And
and the camera at the back.
What's that?
And the camera.
And the camera is there. Okay. It's only for internal use. Yes.
I have only one remark. We often wonder why the museums don't have time to do this stuff. And I think it has to do with the things are changing, but we are not changing the people we can hire or the budget we have to hire new people to involve in Twittering, Facebooking, and so on. Because we have an old generation of curators, and they have to do it along with the other things they have to do, so there isn't enough time. We should convince our boards that we need another financial thing to hire people to do this. I think there's the main issue why it is not happening.
Okay, that's a business question.
Yeah, well, no, I agree, and but I think, I mean, I've been in a museum working on a website with a very small team and had this very same debate and argument, and I think it's whilst it's, I mean, we've had this debate in conferences in America and things as well, and whilst it's quite easy to sit back and moan and complain, I think what it ultimately comes down to is stepping up and making that argument. And often web teams in the past have been these kind of geeks in the corner going, "Oh, if only we had the budgets." But actually, if you take it seriously, go to the board and make the argument, then at least you're having the fight and you may win it. But it takes people to step up and say, "Hang on, we need to do this." And things are changing. Some of the museums that the Powerhouse Museum in Australia and the Science Museum, which I've since left, but has now massively expanded their budget and teams and hired new people to work on the website. So these arguments can be won, but the first step is making the arguments and hoping you have got a nice board, I suppose.
Okay, thank you. Any other remark? Question? Problem in the corner?
Well, museums, libraries and archives, they tend to think in continuity. And if you're saying...
Je moet even de microfoon.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Microphone, yes.
If you're saying that you should use the platform...
Please keep it near your mouth, that would help. That's okay, that's okay.
If you're saying that you should be using the platforms that are already available, you recommend that, and I can agree with that, but at the same time, they are commercial. And how can you then guarantee the fact that they will be there in 10 years' time?
Yeah, very clear question.
I think it's a good question. It's something to consider. And the solution is a bit of there's no one-size-fits-all solution. And I think it's sometimes quite good to distinguish between platforms like Facebook, where often museums are engaging with people, promoting events, promoting exhibitions. It's much more about the here and now, not building a huge legacy. So, if Facebook went, maybe it wouldn't be a disaster. But things like sites like Wikipedia and these big sort of cultural commons and cultural resources, I think there's enough people who value these things enough to kind of guarantee that the content will at least survive. And the fact that the content is free and available means that there's always backups, there's always mirrors and sites that would crop up to preserve this content. And it's been pointed out to me by someone else concerned with this question that maybe it's not impossible that some of these websites will outlive the museums. You know, museums aren't invulnerable to being closed down or not surviving either. So, you know, there are no certainties in life, but you can only make judgments and hope for the best.
Okay, that's a very, very humane point. Did I see you stick up your finger? No? Okay. I noticed that not all of the comments are very nice. Some are a bit cynical, some hide behind anonymity. It's a little bit new to me, but they're also very direct. Like you may have noticed that we tried immediately to put down the level of light here, so there was no need to be so cynical about that. We're doing our best. And the last 5 minutes, some nasty shit throwing to curators has been going on there. So, just for the record, can I see fingers for people who are curators? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, there's a small minority. Okay. It could prove the point a little bit, because there are 350 people here. 3% is curators. Okay. I don't agree with the mud throwing, but there is always, and has been for the last 20 years, a divide between management, curators, and the public departments of the public's departments of cultural institutions. Okay, I want to close this part. Thank you very much, Frankie. Again, big applause.